call 0800 789 789.
Welcome back, my friends, to the hell that never ends. And what does it say about our TV nation that we get more nostalgic about the shows that got the bums rush in Burnley than the ones that won the Golden Rose of Montreux? Do we really treasure naked jungle more than the naked civil servant? Do more of us yearn for Why Don't You than Doctor Who? Just ponder these imponderables while I stoke the fire with the entire back catalogue of Benny Hill. At number 21, we see how real crime can sometimes penetrate the safe haven of TV, and none so shocking than when it destroys our childhood innocence.
It was such a fine moment when Blue Peter music came on, and there were the presenters, and it was Janet Ellis who sat there so solemn and so grave and so sincere, and tells the viewers at home that the Blue Peter garden has been vandalised.
First, though, we've got some rather bad news, I'm afraid, because we discovered this morning that over the weekend, vandals broke into the Blue Peter garden and caused rather a lot of damage.
The Blue Peter garden vandalism was one of my favourite moments ever growing up. Janet Ellis just had to be so serious.
And one really cruel thing they did was to pour fuel oil into the fish pond. Well, we've drained the pond and we've rescued some of the fish, but a few of them have died, and the oil itself has caused a lot of damage.
They even smashed the lovely urn given to us by Mr. Taylor from so-and-so.
And the vandals then broke our lovely ornamental urn given to us by Mr. Taylor from Barnet. They then smashed up our sundial and then callously threw it into the pond.
And if that wasn't enough, they then trampled on the bedding plants as well.
Of course it wasn't enough. I mean, this idea of vandals going, OK, stop, that's like, leave the flowers. I love the juxtaposition.
Well, we hope to repair the damage, and we may even be able to repair the ornamental urn.
What about the flowers, boss? Trample them. What about this? What is it? It's the urn given to him by Mr. Taylor. Smash it.
But it's very sad to think that a few people take such pleasure from harming their fellow human beings and from hurting animals as well.
Everyone in school was laughing their heads off at that. It was the next day, it was just the talk of the yard, because it was the funniest thing ever. Only my older sister sat there and went, oh, that's dreadful, that's so sad. And I was just going, oh, shut up, this is absolutely brilliant.
And here are the survivors. It really is an absolute miracle that they have survived. Brian has come along to give us a bit of advice. Brian, what do you think of them after the awful ordeal that they've been through?
I think they're looking amazingly well.
Well, it's not a pretty sight, is it, what they did, Percy?
Terrible, you know. People who do this sort of thing must be mentally ill, Janet, mustn't they?
I think so.
Terrible when you come to look at it.
Sometimes you see stuff on the telly and you think, is there a joke there? Is it a mistake? And if so, am I missing something? And Dexy's Midnight Runners, when they're at their peak and they covered Van Morrison's fantastic bum, Jackie Wilson said. And the show started and and there's Dexy's Midnight Runners! There's a bloody great photograph of Jockey Wilson, the dance player.
For a bit you looked at it and you thought, they must know. I think because of the intensity that the old Dexys guy used to, Kevin Rowlands used to give to his performance, that was what was so fantastic, the combination of his intensity and Jockey Wilson behind him, as if you finally felt he does have a sense of humour, And I think my conclusion after the performance was that he isn't indeed mad beyond belief, but much shrewder and much more of a comedian.
In 30 seconds, a brief reminder of Bullseye, the game show with the worst prizes since Crackerjack. If you were lucky, you'd end up with a bendy bully and your train fare home.
30, 40, 50, 60 pounds. Take that without a compliment. There you are. Have that. Have a little drink when you get back to lunch. There you are. Have your bullies. You really have been lovely. It's been smashing to have you on the show. You have a nice day with us.
Thank you. Yeah, marvellous.
That way you're going.
Thank you very
See you
much.
later. Bye.
At 18, we make rude and aggressive gestures to opportunistic docusoap stars like Maureen out of driving school. Maureen's antics might have driven her husband mad, but they did lead to her becoming Britain's first docusoap star, and certainly the first one to cover a Madness song. Well, at least it wasn't Jeremy from Airport.
Primrose Hill. I remember getting the preview tape and the office stopped. We watched that scene with her husband shouting at her as she's sort of veering over the dual carriageway with mouths open, and we said this is going to be huge. But what we didn't realise was that one programme would have spawned such a heritage of airline, airport, traffic wardens, you know.
What took me 10 minutes to go to the shop takes me nearly an hour.
Yeah.
Because I get everyone, and in my opinion, you mustn't snub everyone because they're the people that made you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't remember that.
Well, I want your autograph. I want to see what Maureen's autograph looks like.
Andy Warhol said that everyone will have their 15 minutes of fame. I mean, it's certainly true of this. Just an appearance on the box does turn you into some sort of celebrity, a docusoap celebrity, a docusoap star.
You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why.
Next thing we'll be making shows about people making docusoaps. I think it's very odd and not funny and not good and shouldn't be allowed. All the cleaning ladies in Britain are going, soon it'll be me. All the people who work, I'm just waiting for them to film people going to the lavatory. That's my next one. It'll be called Plop Flush Clothes. Or your favourite stars from Airport doing a poo. And you'd be going, oh, I would watch that. I probably would watch that, actually. Most of us would watch that, wouldn't we?
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Next up, it's Mind Your Language time again as we see the Nightmare Star on TFI Friday who just can't help his runaway mouth. No, not Chris Evans.
TFI Friday had just started and we were going out live at 6 o'clock on a Friday. And we'd had Shaun Ryder on the third or fourth show just with Black Grape and we'd interviewed him. And as part of an enticement, Chris said on air to him...
You know that you swear a lot, don't you? You are aware of that?
Yeah. If you promise not to swear, I'll give you my shoes. And he produced his shoes and put them on the table.
Would you like these shoes?
I'd find somewhere to wear them, yeah, definitely.
And Shaun went, no, I promise I'll try.
Oh, hang on. Patrick Cox, man, and Patrick's a fucking good...
So about 4 weeks later, we decided we wanted to have Black Grape back on singing Pretty Vacant, and we wanted to interview Shaun. We were told we couldn't. So what we did was we came up with this idea that we'd pretend that we were stars in your eyes.
Who are you going to be for us?
I'm going to be Johnny Rotten.
So we pre-recorded our little bit there, and we knew it was fine. And then Shaun appeared through a smoky door, waving, came out onto the audience gantry live, at which point... we were at his mercy. All hell broke loose. Our ears pricked up. We started to listen, and the blood slowly drained from our face. Chris just had this fixed grin of a condemned man on his face.
We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're very, very, very sorry.
As we know from the Great Storm of '87, weathermen aren't always the best at making predictions. But poor Fred can be excused for not expecting this sudden appearance of a shocking cold front on all our television sets.
Right, quite unexpected. Over the southern part of Britain, I better end this quickly. Again, plenty of sunshine, I'll say bye-bye.
Oh, no. Yeah, we're still on. No, come on, it's human flesh. It's normal. Is he still there?
Is he there?
Hold the board in the way. Just give you the clipboard. Do you want the clipboard? Oh, no. Yes, hold the clipboard. Round of applause for the streaker, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause, here we go.
At number 15, it's the most ridiculous comeback in the history of television. When Dallas heartthrob Bobby Ewing got knocked down and wiped out, the consequences were a disaster for the ratings. So a year later, he popped up in the shower, and the whole of the last series was written off as just a dream.
Good morning.
Wife Pam may have been relieved, but the rest of us were dumbfounded. Whenever the story of trash TV is told, in the beginning is The Word, the notorious Friday night show that took youth TV to a new level, the basement. And few items prove lower than a spot called the Hopefuls.
Oh, Matt, I'm intrigued. What is it that you do?
Well, I take this tubing, I stick it in my nose, it goes all the way to my stomach.
A lot of the times it wasn't too hard to be appalled at what was going on, but it was so outrageous as well that you know, personally, I just wanted to keep watching people do it.
We pump the beer into my stomach, and then we pull it back out and let members of the audience drink the bile beer.
It was really my job to go, oh no, I can't believe you're doing that, while kind of going, yeah, keep it going. That's good. This is great.
We're going to have some bile beer brewed up with this stuff.
After I left The Word, I noticed with some amusement that all the kind of the most yak things that I used to compare in the studio kind of metamorphosized into the Hopefuls.
Welcome to the Hopefuls, people who said they'd do anything to get on television.
We're constantly getting letters from people saying, I'd do anything to be on telly. Get me on your show, I'm mad, me.
Matt's an exercise fanatic, so we set him a Keep Fit challenge.
And we finally thought, we've got this great pool of losers and deadbeats and show-offs. How can we exploit and humiliate them?
As the show went on, it became coarser, and some of those elements were completely, sickeningly horrible, impossible to watch. I mean, it was vomit-inducing.
In your own time, Tom.
It wasn't to try and push back the boundaries of broadcasting. It was partly so everybody else sitting at home on a Friday evening, they hadn't pulled, they weren't quite drunk enough, they had to get up for work in the supermarket tomorrow morning, but could sit there thinking, I may be at a low ebb, but I'm not as sad as those fuckers.
I don't think the TV.
Good luck for the future, mate.
I've already told you I believe it's high time that you selected a trade. I thought you'd already picked one for me. Because you seem incapable of it yourself.
Remember those weird children's dramas you used to watch when you came home from school? They didn't make sense, but you couldn't quite work out why. Well, here's why. It was dub TV at its worst.
It seemed a kind of an extraordinary waste of money to bother to dub them, because it literally bore no relationship to the movement of the actors' mouths at all.
Because it's a profession that disgusts me. I'm afraid, judging by past experience, you have a tremendous disgust for work in general.
It's more distracting, because you'd sort of be looking at their lips and they'd be going, "No, young man!" And the person would be going,
It's getting bad. Even the women are beginning to move out.
If you look in the dictionary under the word gruff, it says, like all the men spoke in all of those dubbed TV programs.
You know what it's like there? It's rotten. Being used to their last drop of blood.
It was so unconvincing.
He's right. Glory, just like everything else, is reduced only to dust.
maybe the actors that did the dubbing were just having a laugh. And going, let's see how little we can make it sound as if it's coming out of their mouths.
Just for a second, imagine you're the new Welsh secretary at a televised party conference, and to your horror, you're required to sing along to your adopted national anthem. But you haven't had time to learn the words. Never mind, surely you can just wing it somehow. It was the BBC's replacement for Wogan that soon ended up disappearing into the sunset in a blaze of bad publicity. At number 11, it's Eldorado.
Eldorado, I think, was one of the BBC's most expensive flops, estimated about 10 million quid, 2 million on the set alone. It was launched with such a hoo-ha, really. It was, you know, sun, sea, sex and sangria.
I saw the first episode and I nearly died. I thought it was ghastly. I had always visualized Eldorado as a upmarket, beautiful girls, sunny beaches, big yachts, a glamorous sort of Dallas style.
I just knew that it was going to be a good... It had to be good. You know, all it had to have was good characters, good storylines.
Oh, Trish, what happened? Well, I know it's normally me that gets plastered, but this time it was my foot.
You've got a primetime soap, and not only have you got a very extended cast, a lot of those cast are from different countries, and they're speaking in their own language.
And there was a boy in there. Who was it?
It's like, excuse me, what? I'll go and put the kettle on.
You pig. Oh, look. It's hubby.
The Beeb said that the British working class like working class soaps. So they completely changed it to a group of people that I don't think really actually exists down here.
In short, I think you'd be best out of it. I'll go and hand in your notice tomorrow.
Look, Bunny Charlson, husband or no husband, I don't need your permission or anyone else's permission to let me work in that supermarket.
They brought in a lot of actors that were basically hadn't done very much.
What do you think?
You can have realism if you've got time to improvise, and I'm sure those actors with time, but a soap doesn't give you time. You've got to be a professional.
I got something to tell you. I got something to say. I'm gonna put this dream in motion. Never let nothing stand in my way when the gun gets tough.
If you look at the first 6 weeks of Coronation Street, the critics went for it in the most alarming manner. And I think they just do that. They need something to go for. And I think you just have to kind of ride it out and say, okay, nothing's going to be perfect at the beginning, but let's go along with it. And gradually you iron out these problems.
Let me get this straight. We're leaving Spain just like that?
Yes.
And we're going back to England?
Yes.
All of us?
Yes.
And we're not going back there for a holiday, we're actually going to go back...
We're selling up, Nessa. We're going home for good just as soon as we can.
Would it have been successful if it had been longer? Well, nobody really knows, but certainly the figures were growing. I mean, when after the show closed down and we used to have the tourists come up to see the set, we practically used to get attacked. Why did you stop the show? Why? I mean, people were sort of very, very bitter about it.
I'd know, Pilar. You can't trust anyone these days, can you?
At this point, let's step back from the abyss for just a sec and gird our loins. We're at the very lip of the inner circle from which no one can return, apart from Bobby Ewing in Dallas, of course. No time for a long shower in the break. Put the kettle on, phone off, and have a damp towel at the ready and a stick to bite on. The top 10 TV moments from hell are coming up next with a serious health warning.
Can you switch?